Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. We are in a very difficult time in the world today. So many, I think I heard the figure of 80 or 90% of the population of the earth are locked down, meaning they can't leave their homes except for emergencies. And the earth is looking much nicer, although a lot of abuse has taken its toll. But we are hearing the Bhagavatam, and we are safe, secure, and happy. And we need to spread this to as many people as possible. I wrote a letter today to the Educational Division of the GBC Strategic Planner, and suggested this as a possible help for the world of ISKCON. So we may have more people tuning in very soon. Let us pray. Okay, pure devotional service is beyond knowledge and detachment. These chapters are the summum bonum of the summum bonum. Srimad Bhagavatam is the summum bonum of all scriptures, and Krishna's teachings, direct teachings to Uddhava, the summum bonum of the summum bonum. We've reached the 20th chapter, 11th canto, beginning with text 29. But before we do, we're going to read Sanatana Goswami's glorification of the Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we will never forget the profundity of this work, the identity of this work, and the pleasure that this work gives anyone who comes in contact with it. Srimad Bhagavata Mahima Stotram by Srila Sanatana Goswami. It goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokaika Drik Prada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabho Kalidwanduditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshak Shadayate Sarvada Sevasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you, who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Mad Mahadana Mandistadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu sadhuta dayin atini chutata kara hanamunchagadachin mam premna rit kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 11, chapter 20, Canto 11, beginning with text 29. When an intelligent person engages constantly in worshipping me through loving devotional service as described by me, his heart becomes firmly situated in me. Thus, all material desires within the heart are destroyed. Purport. The material senses are engaged in gratifying the concoctions of the mind, causing many types of material desires to become prominent, one after another. One who constantly engages in the devotional service of your Lord by hearing and chanting the Lord's transcendental glories with firm faith gets relief from the harassment of material desires. By serving the Lord, one becomes strengthened in the conviction that Sri Krishna is the only actual enjoyer, and all others are meant to share the Lord's pleasure through devotional service. A devotee of the Lord situates Sri Krishna on a beautiful throne within his heart, and there offers the Lord constant service. Just as the rising sun gradually eliminates all trace of darkness, the Lord's presence within the heart causes all material desires there to weaken and eventually disappear. The words Mayi Riddhi Stite, when the heart is situated in me, indicate that an advanced devotee sees Lord Krishna not only within his own heart, but within the hearts of all living creatures. Thus, a sincere devotee who chants and hears the glories of Sri Krishna should not be discouraged by the remnants of material desires within the heart. He should faithfully wait for the devotional process to naturally purify the heart of all contamination. Text 30. The knot in the heart is pierced. All misgivings are cut to pieces, and the chain of fruitive actions is terminated when I am seen as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Hridaya Granthi indicates that one's heart is bound to illusion by false identification with the material body. One thus becomes absorbed in material sex pleasure, dreaming of innumerable combinations of male and female bodies. A person intoxicated by sex attraction cannot understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all pleasure and the supreme enjoyer. When a devotee achieves steadiness in devotional service, feeling transcendental pleasure at every moment in the execution of his loving service to the Lord, the knot of false identification is pierced, and all his misgivings are cut to pieces. In illusion, we imagine that the living entity cannot be fully satisfied without material sense gratification and speculative doubting of the absolute truth. Materialistic persons consider sense enjoyment and speculative doubting to be essential for civilized life. A pure devotee, however, realizes that Lord Krishna is an unlimited ocean of happiness and the personification of all knowledge. This realization of Lord Krishna completely eradicates the twin tendencies of sense gratification and mental speculation. Thus, the chain of fruitive activities, or karma, automatically collapses, just as a fire collapses when goes out when its fuel is removed. Advanced devotional service automatically awards one liberation from material bondage, as confirmed by Lord Kapila, Jarayat Yashu Ya Koshang Nigirnam Analo Yata. Bhakti, devotional service, dissolves the subtle body of the living entity without separate endeavor, just as fire in the stomach digests all that we eat. Srimad Bhagavatam 2:25-33. Srila Prabhupada states in his purport to this verse, a devotee does not have to try separately to attain liberation. That very service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the process of liberation, because to engage oneself in the service of the Lord is to liberate oneself from material entanglement. Sri Bilva Mangal Thakur explained this position very nicely. He said, if I have unflinching devotion unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, then mukti, or liberation, serves me as my maidservant. Mukti, the maidservant, is always ready to do whatever I ask. For a devotee, liberation is no problem at all. Liberation takes place without separate endeavor. Text 31. Therefore, for a devotee engaged in my loving service, with mind fixed on me, the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation is generally not the means of achieving the highest perfection within this world. Purport. A surrendered devotee of Lord Krishna does not seek perfection through the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation outside the loving service of the Lord. Devotional service to Lord Krishna, being itself the supreme transcendental process, never depends on the secondary methods involving the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation. By chanting and hearing the glories of the personality of Godhead, a devotee automatically realizes all knowledge. And as the devotee's attachment to the Lord increases, he automatically gives up attachment for the inferior material nature. The Lord has explicitly declared in the previous verses that a devotee should not try to solve his lingering problems by means other than devotional service. Although a sincere devotee has surrendered heart and soul in loving service to the Lord, there may be lingering material attachments that prevent the devotee from perfectly realizing transcendental knowledge. Devotional service, however, will automatically eradicate such lingering attachments in due course of time. If the devotee tries to purify himself through cultivation of knowledge and renunciation, which fall outside the scope of devotional service, there is danger of his being deviated from the Lord's lotus feet and falling down completely from the transcendental path. One who endeavors for purification outside the loving service of the Lord has not actually understood the transcendental potency of Bhakti Yoga and does not appreciate the extent of Lord Krishna's mercy. Within this world, one's heart is bound by sex attraction, which disturbs one's meditation on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Intoxicated by contact with women, the conditioned soul becomes artificially proud and forgets his loving servitude to the Lord. Through determined cultivation of knowledge and detachment, a conditioned soul may try to purify himself without the mercy of Lord Krishna. But such false pride is to be given up, just as one must give up the false pride of material attraction. When pure devotional service to the Lord is available to a conditioned soul, attraction to other processes is certainly a deviation in his devotional career. Material desire, stubbornly residing within the heart, can be vanquished by taking full shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Without false confidence in one's own cultivation of knowledge and renunciation, one should depend fully on the mercy of Lord Krishna, and at the same time strictly follow the rules and regulations of Bhakti Yoga as instructed by the Lord himself. Texts 32 and 33. Everything that can be achieved by fruitive activities, penance, knowledge, detachment, mystic yoga, charity, religious duties, and all other means of perfecting life is easily achieved by my devotee through loving service unto me. If somehow or other my devotee desires promotion to heaven, liberation, or residence in my abode, he easily achieves such benedictions. Purport. Lord Krishna here reveals the transcendental glories of devotional service to the Lord. Although pure devotees are desireless, desiring only the Lord's service, sometimes a great devotee may desire the Lord's benediction to facilitate his loving service. In the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, we find that Sri Chitraketu, a great devotee of the Lord, desired promotion to heaven, so that accompanied by the most attractive ladies of the Vidyadhara planet, he could beautifully chant the glories of the Lord. Similarly, Sri Shukadev Goswami, the great narrator of Srimad Bhagavatam, desiring to avoid entanglement in the illusory potency of the Lord, would not come out of his mother's womb. In other words, Shukadev Goswami desired apavargam, or liberation from Maya, so that his devotional service would not be disturbed. Lord Krishna personally sent the illusory energy far away, so that Shukadev Goswami would come out of his mother's womb. Because of intense, loving desire to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, a devotee may also desire promotion to the spiritual world. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, a devotee, having given up the independent cultivation of knowledge and detachment, may have firm faith in the devotional service of the Lord and yet remain slightly attached to the fruits of such activities. By expert fruitive activities, one gains residence in material heaven, and by cultivation of detachment, one is relieved of all bodily distress. If Lord Krishna detects within a devotee's heart the desire for such benedictions, the Lord can easily award them to his devotee. The word itarai in this verse indicates visiting holy places, accepting religious vows, and so forth. Several auspicious processes of elevation are mentioned in the verse preceding this, but all the auspicious results of their processes are easily achieved by loving service to the Lord. Thus, all devotees of the Lord, in whatever stage of advancement, should dedicate their energy exclusively to the Lord's service, as affirmed in the 2nd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam by Sri Shukadev Goswami. Akama, sarvakamo va, mokshakama, udadadihi, tivrena, bhakti yogena, yajeta purusham padam. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the Personality of Godhead. Bhagavatam 2, 3, 10. Text 34. Because my devotees possess saintly behavior and deep intelligence, they completely dedicate themselves to me and do not desire anything besides me. Indeed, even if I offer them liberation from birth and death, they do not accept it. Purport. The words ekantino mama indicate that the pure devotees of the Lord, being saintly and most intelligent, dedicate themselves exclusively to the devotional service of the Personality of Godhead. Even when the Lord offers them personal liberation from birth and death, the devotees will not accept it. A pure devotee automatically gains an eternal life of bliss and knowledge in the Lord's personal abode, and thus considers mere liberation without the loving service of the Lord to be most abominable. One who chants Lord Krishna's holy name or superficially serves the Lord with the motive of achieving impersonal liberation or material sense gratification cannot be considered a transcendental devotee of the Lord. As long as one desires mundane religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation, one cannot achieve the platform of samadhi, or perfect self-realization. Every living entity is actually the eternal servant of Lord Krishna, and is constitutionally meant to engage in the loving service of the Lord without material desire, personal desire. This pure and supreme status of life is described in this verse by the Lord Himself. Text 35. It is said that complete detachment is the highest stage of freedom. Therefore, one who has no personal desire and therefore, I'll read the thing from the beginning. It is said that complete detachment is the highest stage of freedom. Therefore, one who has no personal desire and does not pursue personal rewards can achieve loving devotional service unto me. Purport. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10, Akama sarvakamo va mokshakama udaradihi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham padam. A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the Personality of Godhead. In this statement by Shukadeva Goswami, the words Tivrena Bhakti Yogena are very significant. Srila Prabhupada remarks in this regard, quote, as the unmixed sun rays are very forceful and are therefore called Tivra, similarly, unmixed bhakti yoga of hearing, chanting, etc. may be performed by one and all regardless of inner motive. Undoubtedly, in this age of Kali, people are generally very fallen and polluted by material lust, greed, anger, lamentation, and so forth. In this age, most people are sarvakama, or full of material desires. Still, we must understand that simply by taking shelter of Lord Krishna, we will achieve everything in life. The living entity should not engage in any process except the loving service of the Lord. One must accept that Lord Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure, and that only Lord Krishna within our heart can fulfill our real desire. This simple faith that one will achieve everything by approaching Lord Krishna is the essence of all knowledge and carries even a fallen person over the painful hurdles of this difficult age. Text 36. Material piety and sin, which arise from the good and evil of this world, cannot exist within my unalloyed devotees, who, being free from material hankering, maintain steady spiritual consciousness in all circumstances. Indeed, such devotees have achieved me, the Supreme Lord, who am beyond anything that can be conceived by material intelligence. Purport. The words Buddhe Param indicate that the material modes of nature cannot be found within a pure devotee absorbed in the transcendental qualities of the Lord. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna clearly explains that a pure devotee is recognized by complete detachment from personal desire. Therefore, a pure devotee constantly engaged in selfless service to Lord Krishna may not always observe the innumerable details of Vedic rituals and regulations. Such occasional negligence is not to be considered a transgression. Similarly, observance of ordinary material piety does not constitute the ultimate qualification of a soul's surrender to God. Love of Krishna and absolute surrender to the Lord's will will raise one immediately to the transcendental platform, where activities performed on the Lord's behalf are absolute, being an expression of God's will. Ordinary materialistic persons sometimes falsely claim this exalted status for their whimsical, immortal activities, and cause a great disturbance in society. However, just as an ordinary person should not falsely claim the executive privileges of the personal assistance of a national leader. Let me read that again. However, just as an ordinary person should not falsely claim the executive privileges of the personal assistance of a national leader, similarly, an ordinary conditioned soul may not foolishly claim that his immoral, whimsical, or speculative activities are sheltered by divine right, being the will of God. One must actually be a pure devotee of the Lord, empowered by the Lord Himself, and completely surrendered to the will of the Lord, before one may be accepted as transcendental to ordinary piety and sin. There are cases of highly elevated devotees who momentarily fell down from the saintly platform of devotional service. The Lord instructs in the Bhagavad Gita 9:30, Apichet sujurachado bhajate mam ananyabhak sadur eva samantavyak samyag vyavasito hisaha. A momentary fall down by a sincere devotee of the Lord cannot change the Lord's feelings toward such a person. Even an ordinary father or mother quickly excuses a momentary transgression by their child. Just as children and parents enjoy mutual love, the Lord's surrendered servants enjoy a loving relationship with the Lord. An unpremeditated, accidental fall down is quickly excused by the Lord, and all members of society must share in the Lord's own feelings, excusing such a sincere devotee. I shall repeat that. This is really important. An unpremeditated, accidental fall down is quickly excused by the Lord, and all members of society must share in the Lord's own feelings, excusing such a sincere devotee. An advanced devotee should not be branded as materialistic or sinful because of accidental fall down. a devotee immediately returns to the platform of saintly service and begs the Lord's forgiveness. However, one who permanently remains in a fallen condition can no longer be accepted as a highly elevated devotee of the Lord. Text 37. Persons who seriously follow these methods of achieving me, which I have personally taught, attain freedom from illusion, and upon reaching my personal abode, they perfectly understand the absolute truth. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 11th Canto, 20th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Pure Devotional Service, Surpasses Knowledge and Detachment. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Uddhava, Jai Pure Devotional Service to the Lord. Hari Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol, Hari Hari Bol. So, I want to beg the devotees' indulgence, because I've been talking all day. I don't know if you can tell my voice is not quite the same, although maybe it's not as different as it sounds inside my own head. That sometimes happens. But I've been working all day. I've been in the chair for 6 hours, and I'm not supposed to be in more than 45 minutes. And I got my dear friend, Bhagavata Shraya, immediately detected this and warned me to take it easy, not to get up and start going too fast, too soon, even though I'm starting to feel a little better. So with that plea to you, I'm going to end the reading tonight, which has already gone, by the way, for 35 minutes, and skip the reflections just for tonight. But I would say that these instructions on how to treat devotees and how to determine who is a devotee, who is not a devotee, who is a pure devotee, and who is a mixed devotee, are invaluable and should be applied within our daily lives in association with the devotees. And if we do this, we will make tangible and strong advancement towards the goal of life, which is to always think of Krishna, always be His devotee, offer homage to Him always, and render transcendental loving service unto Him and His devotees. So forgive me, I'm going to leave you now and take rest early and continue in my path of recuperation, convalescence of my condition over this last month and a half. Please don't be concerned. I'm feeling much, much better, and this is just special precaution. Do we have anything from the?
Just had one question came through.
Okay. We have one question that's come through.
Gauranga Gopal.
We have a question. I'm going to answer one question. From Gauranga Gopal Das. Hare Krishna Gauranga Gopal Das, Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have a question. How far can sincerity lead us on the path of bhakti, and how much does it attract Lord Krishna's mercy? Thank you very much. The answer to that question is very simple. Yes, sincerity can take you all the way to the lotus feet of Krishna. Because those symptoms that we've been hearing about in the last few verses and purports are symptoms of sincerity. You know, I think it's clear over this last chapter that even a sincere devotee there can be lingering attachments from previous activities, even previous lifetimes. And as a result of that, sometimes he may slip occasionally. Not by premeditating to do something wrong, but just at a moment. Prabhupada gave an example. Say, for instance, before you became a devotee, you had the habit of smoking cigarettes. And you happened somehow or other to be with a group of friends, and they all, and you used to smoke cigarettes with them all the time. And they induce you or cajole you or whatever into smoking with them, just to be friends. And you do it. This is called accidental fall down, not premeditated. And Krishna doesn't take this very seriously if the devotee continues his devotional service. Doesn't stop his devotional service under any circumstances. But if after that the devotee starts to think about it and manufacture time and place and circumstance which he can fulfill that desire, and if he continues that over a long period of time, then he becomes, well, frankly, he loses the mercy of the Lord, or the Lord temporarily withdraws his mercy, and then you have to go through some difficulties. But even those devotees, once they've actually tasted, and this is what sincerity means, if you're sincere, that means you don't have an ulterior motive for doing your service. If you have an ulterior motive for doing your service, then there's some lacking of sincerity. Therefore, the earmark of a pure devotee, from Srila Prabhupada's point of view, was a lacking of an ulterior motive for one's service. He does his service to please the devotee and to please the Lord's devotees and nothing else. And whatever obstacles are there from his past bad habits or the strength of the material energy, until he becomes strong enough to fight them and resist them, then there may be some temporary difficulties or temporary slips from time to time. So yes, sincerity will carry you to the lotus feet of the Lord. Prabhupada sometimes said it's the only qualification. He also sometimes said sincerity is measured by truthfulness, by honesty, and by freedom from envy. And with that, I'll leave you. Thank you so much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock UK time. Sure thing. Okay, Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow. Hari Bol.